Hello, my name is Eric Chappell, author of AutoCAD Civil 3D 2014 Essentials, and this is the Essentials and Beyond exercise for Chapter 13. In this exercise, we are supposed to open the drawing named Parcel Display and Labeling Beyond, which I've opened, and there really aren't any steps or tasks given to us that are very specific. It just says that the drawing contains an alternate layout, and we want to use the prior exercises as a guide and create a professional looking legal document that conveys the same types of information. So right now everything's the same style, the labels don't look real good, they're overlapping and they're not really showing the information that we need. So we kind of want to clean this up and make it look good. So I'm going to start by changing the parcel styles. I'll click on this first parcel, and there's a number of ways I can do this. The first way I'll look at is just using the Properties command. So I'll click the parcel area label, that selects the parcel, and I'll change the style from Property to a joiner. We don't see really a big change, and it may be that the display order is hiding a joiner under the other parcel types. I think we will see it quite obviously if we do the open space, because that contains hatching, and you can see the edges change to green. I'll do this area down here also as open space. So that works pretty well for individual parcels, one here, one there. But what if we want to do a whole bunch of them? Well, there's a couple of tricks for that too. I'll go over to the Home tab, open up Tool Space, and under Sites and Lot Layout, if we click on Parcels, we see a listing of all the parcels in the drawing. What I'll do is scroll over to the right and click on the Style column heading, and that's going to sort them all by that Style column heading. So we see open space and then Property, and I'm not seeing the adjoiner, so that's kind of strange. But this at least groups them together by like style. So I can click the first one called Property, scroll down to the bottom, click the last one called Property, and then right-click the Style column and hit Edit. And then I can change them all. These I want to change them to Lot. So I'll click Lot, click OK, and you can see them all change to that blue outline. Now there is another command that you can do this with, and let me undo that. And I think what it may do is undo them all at once. So I'm going to use my undo drop-down list here. There we go. Still has that first one. That's okay, we'll let that one there, because I want to show you this other way of making changes to multiple parcels. There's actually a command, if I click on a parcel, called Multiple Parcel Properties. So I'll click on that, and it works kind of like the renumbering command that we learned about earlier in the chapter. Let me turn off some of these settings down here, where I can draw a line through the parcels that I want to affect, and it will select all of them. So I'll press Enter. And it brings up this dialog right here, and you can see it remembers each of the parcels that I selected. Well, I don't really want to edit them one at a time. I want to make a change that applies to all of them. So I'm going to choose Lot, which is already chosen because that's what the first parcel is set to. Maybe I'll go to Parcel 2 or Property 2 and choose Lot there. And then there's a magic button here on the far right which says Apply the parcel style to all selected parcels. So if I click that, it takes that change and it's going to apply it to 46 parcels in this case. I'll click OK. We should see all of them change. Let me do a regen. I can see the interior lines change, but the exterior line does not. So let me change this to a joiner. I think I may have performed my undo a little further back than I thought. But in any case, if we click on this parcel here, we can see the style is Lot. So is that one, and that one, and that one. So that's two different ways that we can make changes to multiple parcels at one time. I do have one other parcel that I need to change the style, and that is the right-of-way parcel. So I'm going to click on that, change the style from property to right-of-way. Now that all the styles have been addressed, I want to take a look at parcel style display order. I want to make sure that my right-of-way appears over top the lots. I want to make sure that my adjoiner appears over top the lots, which it appears to be right now. And I also want to make sure that open space appears over top the lot. So what I'm looking for is here where a lot and the open space share a property line right here, I want the open space, the green property line, to take precedence over the blue. And that's handled through parcel style display order. And I'll do that in Prospector by right-clicking on the parcels node and selecting properties. And what I'm interested in is this section right here, parcel style display order. So I'm going to put right-of-way on top and then open space. And I don't have a joiner. Let me address that. Click on this lot here and change it to a joiner. There we go. And I'll go to properties once again, and I want a joiner below right-of-way. I want property, that's just a kind of a leftover style. I want that way down at the bottom. So right-of-way is over top of everything. Next is open space, then a joiner, and then lot. So if you can picture these kind of stacked up one on top of the other, if an adjoiner and a lot are together in the same place, it's going to the line that they share will take on the adjoiner style. If open space and adjoiner are in the same, are next to each other, are adjacent, that line that they share will take on the appearance of open space and on up the ladder. So I'll click OK, and we should see this change take place. Let's go back over here. And remember earlier this line was showing up as a blue dashed line like this one, but now it's showing up as a green solid line because open space is above lot in the list. Right-of-way is above everything, so here we see the right-of-way taking precedence over the green open space. And we also had a joiner above lots, so we're seeing the black dashed line over the blue. So that takes care of the parcel style display order part of getting this looking a little more like a legal document. And you can see it's already looking better. We can pick out the open space areas. If we zoom in a little more closely, the differentiation between lot types is more obvious. It's just starting to look more clean. Next, we'll take a look at the area label styles, and I'll start with the open space areas. And because there's only 2 of these, I can handle them easily in the Properties window. And I'm going to change the parcel area label style. Let me widen this out so you can see it a little better. To Proposed Description and Area. So you can see that the color of the label changed, the text style, and as well as the content of what is shown in the label. So all of that changed just because we assigned a different style. For this one over here, we'll use existing. Sorry, wrong choice. I want the area label style. So we'll use existing description and area. Again, different color, different text style, different content. Now we need to take care of all of the individual lots. So again, we can use Prospector, or we could use the multiple parcel properties command. I think I'll use Prospector for this one. So again, I'm going to sort the list by area label style this time. And we've got some that are not standard, and all of the ones that are left over are standard. So maybe what I'll do to show both commands, I'll do some of them with Prospector and some of them with the multiple parcel properties command. So let me go about halfway down, and we'll right-click the area label style, click Edit, and I'm going to change this to lot number. All right, so we can see up to a certain point the style is changed. So now I'll do the rest of these guys with the multiple parcel properties command. So I need to start here, Press enter, enter again. I'll change the area label style to lot number, and I want to apply that to all of the selected parcels, 17 of them in this case. So two different ways to change multiple parcels. Now, when would you use one versus using the other? It just depends on what's the best way to select them. If in this case, I know that all of the parcels that I want to change have the same style. They're all standard. So that's a textual thing that I can look at, go into the prospector and find them all by name, by words. But if you had to select them spatially, let's say all the parcels in a certain area, maybe they were all different styles, then the other command, the multiple parcel properties command, would be better because you can select them spatially. I do see one more that I need to change, and that is the right-of-way parcel. And something interesting about that is I don't think we can choose none as an option. None is not listed in the properties window, so I have to go into the Civil 3D Parcel Properties command on the Composition tab, and that will let me see the none option for the area label style. And typically we don't want to see an area label in a right-of-way like we would in other parcels. So that takes care of all of the area labels, and it's starting to look even better. So let's take a look at some segment labels next. We want to label the individual bearings and distances around the parcels. So I'll bring up the Add Labels command and change my feature to Parcel, and we'll do multiple segment, and the default styles here will work well. Click Add and then click the area labels and indicate the direction. So I'm going to go clockwise for each one of these and just work my way down. One of the nice things that Civil 3D does is that it will not duplicate labels for adjacent parcels, so I don't have to worry about cleaning that up. And I'll just work my way down and continue labeling all of these parcels. I'm not going to do all of them because it's all pretty much more of the same. So now that the labels are in place, I'll take a look at them and see some areas that I need to clean up. For example, this curve label here looks kind of messy. So I'll click the square grip and drag it off a little bit. And anywhere that I see text overlapping, I can clean that up. Actually, later on, I think we're going to make a table out of these values, and that'll clean them up even more. Just trying to make the text as clean and readable as possible by pulling these labels out and away in cases where they overlap or clash with one another. These labels are very important because they determine the property boundaries of the future landowners. So they've got to be right, the labels have to be clear, and when the surveyors stake out these parcels, they're going to go by these numbers that I'm editing right now. Alright, now I'll continue to work my way down, cleaning up as I go. Another thing I want to take a look at is, if you look at this situation right here, I've got 3 lots in a row that all have the same bearing. So why don't we clean this up a little bit, and instead of having this redundant bearing, we'll just have one bearing. So I'm going to select each one of these labels, and I'm actually going to take this one as well. And I'll open the Label Properties command, which opens the Properties window, and I'm going to change their style to just distance. And I'm also going to flip them over to the other side. And for this guy, I'll click the little circle grip, and that'll reset the label and put it on the side that I want. So now I've got distance labels. And then on the outside of the line, I'll label the bearing. So maybe I can do this. I'll click this label and change it back to bearing over distance. So now I've got the bearing labeled one time and the distance labeled multiple times. And that works just fine because this bearing applies across the whole length of the line. And again, I could continue do the same thing along this long stretch here and wherever else I've labeled in the drawing. The next thing I want to look at is renumbering the lots, and I noticed that they're already well numbered just because of the way that we laid them out, but I can tell you from experience that almost never happens. You almost always have to renumber them. So, just to demonstrate how it's done, I'm going to renumber them backwards. So how I'll do that, I'll click on one of the lots, doesn't matter which one, and I'll do renumber, rename. I'll change my starting number to 1, and I'll say use name template in parcel style. So as they're renumbered, it's going to rename them also based on their number. So I'll click OK, and I'll draw a line through the parcels in the order that I want to renumber them. So because I changed the starting number with 1, the first parcel that is intersected by the beginning of my line is going to become 1, and then they're going to go 2, 3, 4, and so on. I'll hit enter twice, and they should be magically renumbered from 1 to 46, but this time in the opposite direction. The last thing we'll do with our drawing to make it more professional is to add some tables. So the first table I'll add is an area table, and I'll choose a style called area only, and I'm going to say to include any parcel in the drawing that has the lot number style. Click OK, pick a spot in the drawing, and you can see how easy that was. Lot number and area. We see a lot of lots that have the same area, which we would expect. The next thing I want to look at is there's a fair number of curve labels that we had to pull off the line because they just don't fit. Another even possibly better way to do this is to put those values in a table. So again, I'll go to the Add Tables drop down, Parcel, Add Curve. And this time I want to hand pick what I'm going to include in the table. So anything that I had to drag out because it didn't fit, I'm going to include that, which is almost everything. We might find one or two that actually didn't need to be dragged out. There's one there. All right, but this one here actually looks pretty good right where it is, so why not let it there on the drawing? I'll press enter. It asks if I want to convert what I've selected to tag mode. Yes, I do. And I'll go ahead. Notice that these have been selected manually, so this time I don't do anything up here with styles. I've manually selected the labels. I'll click OK, pick a spot in the drawing for my table, and there you can see the different curves that I've labeled. Then we want to renumber the tags because right now we're starting with 177, 174. Those probably aren't the numbers that we want to use. So to do that, I'm going to start on the Modify tab, and then Parcel, and launch the Renumber Tags command. Now normally I'm a big fan of selecting an object first and using the contextual ribbon. And let me explain to you why I did this once we get going. I'm going to click Renumber Tags, and this gives me access to the settings so that I can change the start number to 1. Okay, so if I launch the command by clicking an object first and then saying renumber tags, I don't get access to the settings option. I just go straight to the command. The other thing that is a little clunky about that is I have to select and click, hit escape, select and click. So I almost like it better to go to the Modify tab under Parcel and launch the command first. That way I can work my way through with a lot fewer clicks and renumber the tags. Now if I miss one, which is quite possible, I might miss one or two, but I'm just going to work my way around the drawing, finding those tags and renumbering them. So that is one case where I don't use the contextual ribbon. I actually just launch the command first and then go out and pick the things that I want to renumber. So that covers all of the different tasks that I think we need to do to make this drawing more professional. Now you would just take all of the stuff we just looked at and apply it to all of the parcels. We changed the style And some of the stuff we have done to all the parcels, like changing the style, changing the area label style, but all these individual labels, obviously we'd have to continue adding those, putting them in good positions so they're readable, flipping, taking away redundant bearings, and then finally putting the tables in to take care of curves and maybe even lines that where the label is just too hard to read because they're labeling such small segments. So I'm going to stop there, but if you're doing this on your own, you can feel free to keep going and actually complete the drawing. So that takes care of the Essentials and Beyond exercise for Chapter 13.